an enigma of sorts. My response to them was that, look, I just say I'm the creator's son, speaking in a native tongue called truth. Truth is often an intrusion on one's illusion. Oftentimes it causes confusion. It's a language that's rarely heard and often misunderstood. But if the truth hurts, it's pain you feel.
Hello, I'm Fonda Smith. I'm here this evening to talk to Russell Kirkman, author, poet, lyricist, songwriter, and friend. I'll tell you how that relates later on. But Russell just wrote a book called Maybe It's Me, a blueprint to reducing stress. We're going to talk about that. Now there's a music component as well and a special tour that relates to the book that is like no other tour, but I'll let Russell tell you more about that when we get started. Now I'm going to go back to the fact as to why I say that Russell is a friend. He is a friend. He's a fellow Limeite. We're both from Lime, Ohio.
That's right.
And he's a classmate, a former classmate. We went to high school together.
Yes, we did.
As a matter of fact, we just celebrated our 35th anniversary.
Wow.
Class reunion.
Wow.
So,
Yeah, that's deep.
that's deep.
That's deep.
But I said that to say this, Russell.
Uh-huh.
The fact that they know now that you're not a child, that you're a man, you know, that you've been through some things.
Right.
And that you can really address what's going on in this book.
Exactly.
And you have the experience behind you to back it, and people need to know that.
Right.
The reason I said it personally is the fact that the Russell that I know now, that I'm sitting with right now, is not the Russell I knew back then. So,
I hope not.
well, that's a good thing.
Yeah,
If you're in your space, that's a good thing.
Wow. Yeah, it's true. It's absolutely true, though.
And we're going to talk about your space because that's what the book is about. Maybe It's Me, a blueprint to reducing stress.
Right.
Now, why don't you tell our folks out there how they can get the book?
They can go to my website, maybeitsme.org, and you can get the book from my website. At one time, you could actually have gotten it from Barnes & Noble. I'm not sure if they still have it on copy or whatever, but even if you go to my website and get it, you'll get it cheaper than you will at Barnes & Noble. So, so most definitely go to maybeitsme.org.
Maybeitsme.org.
Yes.
Which is all about the book. So we're going to talk more about that because there is a music component to that,
Right.
as well as this tour I talked about a moment ago.
Right.
But I want to go back to, again, my first question. Who is Russell Kirkman?
Wow. Such a good question. To be the first question, such a great question.
Because
I'd have to say, to be absolutely honest with you, Russell Kirkman is a soul and a spirit that was chosen to be here on this earth, have a human experience on this earth. And the relative word is chosen. Chosen to have a human experience on this earth, but yet for an undetermined amount of time, because nobody is privy to their time, understand? So, in essence, Russell Kirkman is a soul and a spirit that's here trying and attempting to find his calling. And I think I found my calling, but you can always continue, just continue. And when my time is up, it's up.
I take it that a part of your calling is the book helping other people to find their calling,
Absolutely,
correct?
absolutely, because it wasn't until I really began to find my calling that I truly began to understand how much peace and happiness one has when they find their calling. And it's the greatest experience you could ever have. You know, there's an old African proverb that says each and every one of us were placed on this earth with a job that you cannot be fired from. You couldn't be fired from it if you wanted to. Understand? So that's what this whole journey is about. And it wasn't until I had my near-death experience, as you know, from the book, from reading the introduction of the book, where I tell the story as to how all this came to be. The near-death experience and getting a second chance at life that I, as you said, the person that you knew was not the person that came back.
Most certainly not the person I'm sitting across from.
No,
Now, let me ask you this.
Uh-huh.
But you wrote the book, and it's all about your experiences. But you wrote the book a while back. Why are you promoting it now? Why now? Have you found your calling? Is
I,
that
fa-
what you're telling us?
I have found my calling, and I even found it even back then. But to be absolutely honest with you and the public, I wasn't ready. I just
Okay.
truly wasn't ready. I had just become a single father, raising a little daughter, and I'm gonna tell you that as beautiful of an experience that was, it was painful too because men, we're not wired for that. I mean,
Not for what we have to go through,
no,
right?
and that's why I
Okay.
have so much regard and so much respect and honor that women have, particularly single, that I have for women. Particularly single mothers. I mean, it's amazing. So when the book was published, I could just, everything that I could do was just to be a parent. As I said, I was 12 years a bachelor in Atlanta. And just having a ball. My Friday
And
night.
a single dad?
It's single, yeah.
Single
But
mom.
before that, before my daughter Karan was kind of dropped on me, at the age of 3 until 11. I was my lunch was going to maybe the mall and getting vendors to give me their samples, and I leave out. I mean, I lived the life of a bachelor. I might have a bad Dr. Pepper and an orange in my refrigerator, and that was, So
Right.
so when all of a sudden it stopped, and I became a single parent raising a daughter, I mean, I had to rewire my whole way of thinking. So kudos to those mothers who can juggle and can write a book and can go on tour and can still handle the family and get the kids up in the morning. It took years for me to figure it out.
Well, that's something you address in the book as well. Now you realize what a lot of women go through.
Oh my God! Women! I'm gonna tell you, women are so much stronger than men. I mean, not in a physical sense, but they will do it, and they actually, in the categories of emotions, like you said, psychological, spiritual, all those sub bodies I talk about in the book, all those areas, women are much more stronger. Well, just basically stronger than we are. They are much more equipped.
Right.
Is the word I wanted to say. They're much more equipped, and they just know how to do it. And I was trying to figure it out. I had one student of mine, because I was a college counselor at the time.
Right.
She had 5 children, and she was still working an 8-hour a day and getting a double degree. And I used to ask her, how are you doing? How do you do this? Because there were times as a single father, it was so overwhelming. I talk about that in the book briefly too. There was times I wanted to crawl in a corner and just cry like a little woman. Just like a little bitch, for real. It was just so overwhelming. I mean, you have to be concerned about not yourself anymore, but you have to be concerned about another person. And this person's got to eat. This person's got to have a roof over their head. This person, everything that they do, you're a part of. And men, like I said, we're not wired for that. We have to go through this whole mental
Well, let me
change,
say this.
metamorphosis.
But that's a good thing about the book, because if more men were to read the book, maybe it's me, a blueprint to reducing stress, they perhaps have a better idea of who they really are.
They would.
And what the woman goes through, that's your better half if you're in that type of relationship,
Oh,
if you're
man.
married, or if you're in a relationship period, if you're with someone.
Right.
But all of this, I'm going to talk about your life and death experience as well, which I can't wait to talk
Okay.
about, relates back to different aspects of stress in one's life, which is what the book is helping people to find out how to reduce that stress, correct?
Correct. That's absolutely correct. Because what you're going to find is these are the book is an autobiographical account of my own personal experience in my pursuit of finding my calling. And you find that when you're in search of finding your calling, your focus has got to be on the journey and not life, because life is going to be a part of the journey anyways.
It's going to be there.
It's going to be there.
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky.
Right.
But when your focus is on the journey, then life has a lot less of an impact on you when the negative situations occur in your life and whatever. Plus, when you understand who you are and what you are and why you're here, then you begin to understand the powers that you possess as a soul and a spirit from the created in the image and the likeness of the source. You understand?
So this is what inspired you to write Maybe It's Me.
Yeah, because I was
Stress
finding.
and calling.
Well, yeah.
Finding one's calling.
When you find your calling, this is the thing. When you find your calling, you have aligned your universe to the universe, where your soul, where your purpose and your existence is in
Right.
perfect execution.
Right.
So when you understand why you're here, what's your purpose, then everything else falls in place. And then you understand, when you understand that you were created in the image and likeness of the source of the universe, then you understand that everything within the universe you have dominion over, because you are created in the image and the likeness of.
Because we talked about God. Speaking
Exactly.
of which, we talk about, you make reference to God.
God
so
reference.
who is God to you, though?
Well, God is the creator, and that's why, you know, in every other region of the world, God is mentioned in a different name. But Allah, Yahweh, you know, Jehovah, what have you. But God is the creator. He created all of this, and because we were created and chosen to be here, having human experience in His image and His likeness.
Right.
Understand? Then He allowed us to have dominion over everything within the universe, even His laws. Even, for example, we can manipulate the law of vibration to the law of polarity to achieve the law of attraction. In essence, we can will things to ourselves. When you understand those laws, those are universal laws. Those are God's laws. That when you understand who you are and what your powers are and what you possess and your abilities, and you begin to utilize them, you can do unbelievable things that others would see as miracles, but they're not really miracles. And the sad part about it, we apply V times P equals A every day. And the law of vibration states everything vibrates, everything rotates, everything gyrates, everything. There is nothing absolutely positive, unequivocally, that is at total rest. It's only the variation of vibration that differentiates spirit from matter. Understand? When you apply that to the law of polarity, for example, the law of polarity says everything is one and of itself. Everything has a direct opposite. Everything has an antithesis. Everything is polar of itself. It's only the varying degree that differentiate one extreme from its polar opposite. So when you apply V times P, you understand, we do it every day and we don't even know what we're doing. But attraction, so my question, where I'm leading this to, is the law of attraction.
Right.
Is everything. You can only attract that you are or you're becoming. Light attracts light. The law of polarity, everything is one and of itself. Every hot is the cold is the hot. Black is the white is the black. Spirit, stress is the peace is the stress. Hate is the love is the hate. You understand, everything has its polar opposite. So when you learn to be able to apply those two very simple universal laws, you will things to yourself. And a lot of times, that's why old folks used to tell us, you better watch out what you ask for. Because you don't even know you're applying this law, but you're bringing it to yourself. And if you're not ready for it, then it's going to be detrimental to you. You understand?
Let me say this. That's pretty deep what you just said.
Okay,
that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay, because it lends to all the experience that you have, which is why you wrote the book.
Exactly.
You went to Central State University.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
You've studied at the School of Hard Knocks. I read that in the book.
Studied it, the School of Hard.
So that has a lot to do,
Right.
with that as well. So that's where that deep side comes from. Let's talk a little bit about your educational experience. What qualifies you on that level to write this type of book that is out there to help people, to help guide them to reducing stress?
To answer that question, I have to tell you life. The book stuff really meant nothing to this.
Okay.
You understand? Life.
And why does life
because
play such an important role to you?
Well,
in your role of writing a book.
It was that near-death experience
Right.
that I talk about in the book. I mean, when you have, what we have to understand is this, and this is what I want everybody to understand. When you take that last gasp of air, where your soul and your spirit is going to exit from your mouth, it's going to go back into the universe for which it began. It's going back to its source, its image, and its likeness. This frame, this thing the object of our desire, it remains here on this earth. It becomes compost and fertilizer for insects and parasites. It means nothing. This thing means nothing. When we give it so much attention, understand? But it's nothing but a frame or a housing unit for the soul and the spirit to operate.
Well, tell us about your experience.
And that
where you literally died. I mean, in the book it says you died and they had to bring you back.
Well, yeah, it was, and the amazing thing about it is, it's right at that time when the second time that I blacked out, and I had a double lung collapse to explain what happened. In the process of being fired from a job. Which was stressing me out anyways, right?
Yeah, that was deep. I'm not going to give away the book. How you had the heart attack, they really need to get it to understand. That's the trip. I'm like, what? So soon? Okay.
Yeah, I had a double lung collapse, and it was just, and the second time I blacked out, the only thing I remembered was this. I remember being pulled out of a car. I remember being placed on the gurney. I remember being rushed down the halls of Wishart Hospital in Indianapolis, Indiana. And I remember the one-way conversation I had with God. And all I could say is I said, God, please, God, please I said, God, I was making my case to God. I said, God, I'm too young. I'm 24 years old.
Begging for your life?
Yes, I'm like,
Gotta
please,
negotiate?
yeah. I'm
And you were
too
how old
young.
again?
I was 24.
Okay, 24.
You're like, really? I mean, this is gonna be it. You understand? So going through that's when I lost all sense of time and space too, because I'm still not sure if it was before my surgery, during my surgery, or right after my surgery that I found myself in that darkened vacuum, moving toward this light at the speed of sound. And as I traveled through this light, for every bit of 20 to 25 minutes, the only thing, first of all, every form of light, every interval of light that I passed through was brighter than the previous white light. That's the one thing I remember. And the other thing I remember is the sound. It's the sound is so, it sounds something like this. And it's just constant travel, right? But then, like I said, it happened, and it seemed to have occurred every bit of 20 to 25 minutes at the most.
Right.
But it was once I opened my eyes, it was just so amazing. It took 2 to 3 minutes for me to be able to kind of get some focus because of the intensity of the light on my eyes, right? But what seemed to be every bit of 20 to 25 minutes, I found out later it was 2 days later, which lends some truth to Albert Einstein's theory that the faster time goes, the slower it seems.
Right.
And
what did the doctor tell you?
Well,
because you didn't know. So, so how did you know that this was for real, that this really happened?
Well, he just explained to me that I almost didn't make it. That's what my doctor basically said.
And you
to me.
allude to that in the book, but again, we don't want to give away too much of that area because that's really a major part of what's going on with the book, which helped you to write the book.
Right.
But
yeah, but in the introduction of the book, when I tell the story, I wrote it with a twist of humor,
right.
a little comedy, because I feel that's, first of all, humor is, to me, is therapy.
Right.
You know, it's
I
one
think
of my
to
ways.
everyone, you gotta be able to smile.
Yeah.
You feel better when you smile versus when you frown. You really do. Even if you don't have any reason to smile, just the fact that you just smile, just because you woke up another day.
Exactly. That should be
so
good
that's
enough.
Deep. Right. Let's start with that.
Yeah.
And that's enough.
Just that you got another day.
Right.
Yeah. But I wrote it with a twist of humor because, like I said, humor is my way to my means. Basically, it allows me to get past situations and circumstances, painful experiences in my life. But I also wrote it with a sense of humor because it's my way of reconciling with my own stupidity and how I was so much a part of how everything even occurred. Mm-hmm. You know, I talked myself into that job, which I wasn't qualified for. Right. So as a result, these are the repercussions.
Really?
Right. You know, so that's the repercussions of you being just how you are.
Right.
You understand?
Or how you want to be.
Yeah.
Right.
So after, so all of that trans into that whole experience. Mm-hmm. And I tell the whole story in the book, but upon coming back, it seems like I was just given information. I just received. I was so happy, man, that
information
God,
that you injected into the book.
Yeah, a part of my life, which is a part of the book. Yeah,
right.
But yeah, I just received. I just was a different person from the time I opened my eyes. I knew I wasn't the same person that left here. Mm-hmm. You understand? And it was painful, but it was a blessing, all in the same thing.
Let me ask you this. Explain to me how and why you say we can achieve the highest levels of peace and happiness when we do find our calling.
I tell you what, I'll let a quote that Steve Harvey said explain that better than I could even say it. Steve Harvey mentioned something. I saw it a couple months ago, saw him on his show, and he made mention that the 2 greatest days in your life is the day you were born and the day you figured out your why. And when you understand that, and I said, when he said that, I was like, wow. I wish I would have said that. I wish I would have known that. Understand? Even back, years ago. But that's the absolute truth. That's probably one of the most profound statements I've heard in the last couple of years. I mean, that is the truth. When you figure that out, and the fact that you were born and you were chosen, understand? You were chosen to be here as a soul and a spirit.
It's not your choice.
Right. But you were chosen for a reason, and you have a responsibility as a result of you being chosen to the universe to give back to the universe, and your calling is a part of that. Your calling is going to, whatever your calling is, somebody else is going to benefit from it.
Which is why it's so important to find your calling.
That's it.
And if you're lost and you need direction, you know, with the help of the book, you're saying that people will have a blueprint or map, as we mentioned earlier, to kind of help them, guide them along the way to finding their calling in the less stressful way possible, right?
Yeah.
Finding their calling in the less stressful way possible, right?
The less stressful way possible, exactly. But when you find your calling, then the stress basically, you're going to have stress in life, but the stress is diminished to almost literally nothing, you know, and because you've aligned your universe to the universe, where your purpose in your existence is in perfect execution.
How does a person know when they found their calling?
That's a great question. You become consumed by it. That's it. It's that simple. You become consumed by it. That's
But it's
when
something that you'll know it when you feel it.
Yeah, because that's all you think about. That's all you want to do. You get gratification from even working at it. You
Right.
understand? I mean, that's why, you know, there was a time when teachers, I mean, I think teachers, I have the highest regard for teachers now, but I remember some of the teachers back when we went to school, and you know, they weren't the teachers that you see now. If I was a kid now, I'd be so distracted by how beautiful the teachers are. I wouldn't learn nothing
No
now.
learning,
Yeah.
right.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Short. I mean, they're dressing. A lot of them are dressing like the students, you know, that they teach.
Mm-hmm.
But our teachers that they weren't coming to class like that, and they were there. A lot of them were just there not because that was a career, but they were there because that's what they wanted to do, and that was their calling. A lot of
Right.
them, you understand, and you could always tell. I could always tell when I was in a teacher's room that's what her calling was.
Right.
You understand? Because
They took it seriously.
not
They
only
really
did they take
cared
it
what
seriously,
happened
but
to
yeah,
them.
and that's the one those are the teachers that people come back to for years, 20, 30 years
You
later.
remember them.
You remember them.
For
And
me, Mr. Hefner,
Yeah,
fifth grade,
right.
Jefferson Elementary School.
See? And if he's 80 years old and he's sitting in his living room and he's staring out the window and he sees you coming up, it's going to bring him the highest level of peace and happiness at that particular moment, at that time, just because you're coming back to him to say, thank you for what you've done.
Do you feel that's a part of finding your calling?
That is. It's all about it.
That's
You know,
the
finding.
emotional part, or what part would you say that is? Because you actually address several different aspects of
Yeah.
finding your calling here.
Yeah.
Let's
well,
talk about those.
Well, you know, a part of you finding your calling, you really have to get these other sub bodies together in your life. That's where I start. That's why I start off in the book talking about the sub bodies: the spiritual body, the emotional body,
Right.
the mental body, the physical body, and the financial body. You understand? Those are the 5 sub bodies that everybody comprises of. Everything. We're all a part of it. It's a part of all of our lives. You understand? So it's important that you figure out, first and foremost, and that's what I try to instruct in the book. First thing you have to do is find the 2 sub-bodies that you are the weakest at. For me, it was the financial body and the spiritual body. And I focused on the spiritual body first. And the financial was going to come whenever it came.
Right,
But
because
the spirit,
finance is not a part of this picture of finding your calling.
yeah.
I read that in the book.
Yeah,
And it's something that you allude to the fact that it's something that you more or less feel.
if you're into something because it's solely for the money, I guarantee you it's going to become the detriment in your life
Right, it's
later.
not your calling.
It's not your
Because
calling.
it's not about money. We talked about
No.
that. It's not about relationships. It's about
It's
the
about you.
inner you and what you're supposed to be doing. Now, you incorporated music into this. You have a CD. Tell us about why the music.
Well, first of all,
And I did say poet, lyricist,
yeah,
songwriter.
Right. First of all, I love music.
Okay.
Oh, I love music. But it's a strange story. One Friday evening, I put my daughter to bed, and I was having writer's block. I was trying to write, but I couldn't get it together, right? And I went and left and went into my living room, turned the television on, started going through the channels, and I saw a concert of Erykah Badu and Jill Scott. And I
That'll
swear,
inspire anyone.
oh my God, they were having so much fun. I mean, they were having so much fun, and they were doing what they loved to do, and I was so enthralled in how much fun they were really having,
Right.
doing what they were
And you
doing,
can tell it with
and
those
making
two.
great money at doing it, right? And I was sitting there, and I said, they ought to be arrested for having that much fun, doing what you love to do, and getting paid for it. I said, I want to do that. I want to do that, you know? And as I said, V times P equals A. The
we
rest
talk-
of it is history.
So we know how the music relates to the book. But what is the Maybe It's Me Living Room tour going to be about? That's what I was telling you folks about, a tour that he's going to be doing that's coming up that relates to the book and the music. Now, you tell us all about it.
The Maybe It's Me tour is going to be me basically engaging with the audience. I'm going to basically I'm going to tell them the whole story.
like
How?
this.
Yeah.
Okay.
How, because first of
In
all,
an intimate setting?
yeah, I hope to have it in a more intimate setting. If you were to come to my house right now, when friends come to my house, they come and we go in our living room, and we talk, we engage, we're listening to music, we laugh, we have a good time, and we're usually drinking wine, because if you come to my house, chances are you're going to drink some wine. That's what I like, right? I'm not a connoisseur of wine, I just like wine. But if they want other things, sometimes they'll come to my house, they'll bring whatever else they want to bring. But so the living room tour, I wish I could invite everybody to my living room, but that's not going to happen. My wife would put us out, and we wouldn't have nowhere to go. So I have to bring the living room to the people. So that's why, so I want to bring a living room to the people. I want us to have the music, which would be my band also, and some of the songs allude to the book too. I mean, there's a song called The Call, where I was inspired by Ralph Waldo Emerson poem called The Call, and that's what led me to write the poem.
Where, when, and who are you going to be working with?
Wow.
How are we going to know about it?
Well, it's going to be it's a work in progress, and it'd be crazy for me to try to
How
throw out a
soon?
date. Yeah, now we're putting it together, and a few different machines that are working at the same time, trying to put it together, and still getting sponsorship and what have you. So I'm gonna have to let the people know the sooner that when they go to my website, maybeitsme.org.
Maybeitsme.org.
Yeah, when they go to my website. Yeah.
.org.
That's a shameful plug, but when
But it's all about the book. Well, it's really not a shameful plug, because it's all about the book and all about helping people, which
Right.
is what you're all about now,
Yeah,
because it's a part
it
of your
is.
calling.
It is.
So
It is.
bring that all back home.
Well,
Music, the tour, the book, your calling, less stress.
my calling in this life, I've come to understand, my calling is to assist, encourage, and inspires others to begin to seek and find their calling. Understand? And that's why I'm here. That's the only reason why I was given a second chance here, and all of this is a part of the calling. The music, as I said, it was something that just came to me, and I've always loved music, and now music is a part of the calling, because it's a part of the vehicle to me getting to a whole different angle of society that I wouldn't have normally even been able to tap into, without doing the music. I have a young audience, that's kind of digging the music, and they're kind of opening, their minds, to what's going on to the universe, and they're asking themselves. They're put in a position right now that so many students are in their 20s now. They have to ask themselves, like, why am I here? Because
So
they're not going to have the luxury.
You're trying to save them time
Yeah,
with the
exactly,
book. The book
exactly.
will help save them what?
That's why
10, 15 years?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to market it to the colleges and universities, because
Okay.
they're not going to have, many of them aren't going to have the amount of time like you and I to be in their
Right.
40s or 50s, in our 50s, to be talking about,
Really, Russell,
fine.
on
well,
camera? But go ahead. They've done the
when they go to
numbers
my
by
site,
now.
they're going to be able to, if they can subtract
That's
and add, they'll be able to
okay.
figure it out.
But it just represents experience and knowing how to save you some time if
Exactly.
you listen.
Exactly.
Or read the book. It'll
Exactly.
direct you. And
Yeah,
then the
they're not
living
going to
tour-
have they're not going to have the luxury that we had to figure it out at this age. I think they're going to have to do it much sooner.
Well, that leads to my next question. What do you want the reader to get after reading your book? Basically, you've said it.
Yeah. Start seeking, and asking the universe to assist you in finding your calling. If you seek it, it'll find you. I guarantee you. If you
And
seek
you'll
it,
be happier and less stress.
man, you're gonna find so much peace and happiness. The rest of this stuff, this life that we call life, man, it's not gonna mean anything. It's not. It's really. It's not
Nothing
gonna
without
mean
finding
anything.
your calling. Let me ask you this real quick to wind things up here. What would you say to the folks out there, first of all, listening, because they're listening to the music, the ones that will buy your CD, and we need to find out how to get that. Is it on the website as well?
It's gonna be on the web. The newest CD is the latest is Hip Hop Detour, and it's going to be out in the next 2 months. I think the next 2 months. It's not like I have no big publishing company that give me a
So we're speaking
specific
to the
date.
viewers.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was the
yeah.
listeners. The listeners
So,
are the ones that'll get your CD. What's the name of the CD?
Hip Hop Detour.
Hip Hop Detour.
Yeah.
We're talking to the folks that are the viewers that will see this promo, and if you see the promo, you know that the living room tour is
Yeah.
on its way. Get your ticket, show up. It's like this, kind of one-on-one
Yeah,
interaction.
we're gonna have dialogue, man. We're gonna and I want to assist anybody that I can assist to bring it together, so they can start bringing their universe to the universe and their purpose
To find
and
out where
existence.
they're supposed to be.
Yeah, it's in perfect execution, and make it you're here for that reason anyways. Everything else is
So the sooner you find
inconsequential.
out, your book, I have to quote you in the book, the sooner you find out why you're here, the better off you'll be. And that's a
Exactly.
part of finding your calling.
That's it.
Now I have to say this, we're about out of time. I think we still have a little time left. I have to let you know that you inspired me.
Wow.
I read the book and I told you that I was kind of at a crossroads in my life as well. That's because I knew that something was missing, but I knew that it was all within me to find what was missing.
Right.
And I decided to go my own direction. And I told you that I feel like now I'm ready to go off into an island on a beach right now. I can see staring out at the ocean.
Yeah.
And I can write my book. And I'm also an inventor and work on some inventions. And I'm going to give it a year.
Exactly.
And if with a year's time, if it's meant to be, it'll happen probably in 6 months. If not, at least I tried, and I'm still searching for the calling, which is the book, what the book is all about. And I'm at peace with me.
Exactly.
Because it's about peace, right?
It's about peace, and it's and we're all a work in progress. You understand? I mean, one person that I know has really been able to align your universe to the universe is Oprah, for example. I mean,
A lot of stuff she said, I understand now. I didn't
she's
before.
figured it out.
Yeah.
I listen to her. I see her. She's figured it out. I mean, and that's why you see that people like her. I mean, none of us might not ever get to the levels of
her
Oprah,
level.
right? But the impact that you have on the universe, and it might even be one child, right? But
one person,
one
a
person.
child at any given time.
Yes.
And that may be your calling. And
That's
that may
it.
be just it.
That
a
might
wrap.
be it.
But you won't know until you search for it. And you need
Exactly.
a map to find what you're
You
looking
need
for.
a map, and I hope that that's the blueprint, or that's the map.
Thank you, Russell Kirk.
Thank you so much, Fonda. Man, it's been a pleasure. It's really been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Contagious.
We got 'em going down for the count.